Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I think I have it right there now. Yep. Good evening, guys. I'm so excited. This is my, I think this is like my 6th parenting webinar, parenting session, but it's the first one that I am kind of doing on my own. Kind of, sort of. I just want to say a very special thank you before I go any further to Dana Wallace, who has held my hand all day to guide me through the techie part of this, because I have no clue. So without further ado, welcome to Single Parent Talk. Tonight, I have the pleasure of speaking to you about something that I'm really, really passionate about, and that's parenting, and a particular niche of parenting, which is single parenting, because I happen to be a single parent. I really want to start off with a little bit of an introduction here. Single Parent Talk. Let's see if I can get this right. Yeah, okay. This is what, every time I do one of these sessions, I start off with a disclaimer to really just say that there is absolutely no perfectly right way or no wrong way to parent. There is your way and there is my way. And the truth is that we only begin to learn or we only begin to win in parenting when we combine a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We take from here and there. Taking our children's idiosyncrasies into consideration, and then we create our own way of parenting. It is my prayer for everyone who is on this conversation tonight, and for those parents who come into my path, that your parenting journey will become increasingly rewarding as you open your heart and your mind to different ways of parenting, different points of views, including those of your children. My purpose on your journey is to help you to find those answers, whether it's going to be from me or through me. But the general goal is that we can all live our best parenting lives. These are my two. Christian David, he's 17 years old and he's going to be driving as of next week. He's going for his driver's license next week. So please pray for me. And my daughter, Amanda May, she is 13 going on 30. She'll be 14 next month, but I am a teen mom. And enjoying the process, challenging as it may be, but each day these two teach me as much as I think I'm teaching them. They truly teach me. So that's just one of the lessons that I think I continue to learn, and we should all learn that we have the opportunity to learn from our kids as we go along on this parenting journey. While doing research for this conversation tonight, I came across this quote by J.K. Rowling that I fell in love with it, where she says that I would say to any single parent currently feeling the weight of stereotype or stigmatization that I am prouder of my years as a single mother than of any other part of my life. And if you know J.K. Rowling's story, with millions and billions in as an author, if she can really single out her years as a single mom and saying that she's very proud of those years, it really means that it's certainly not about the money. It's not about anything else other than the experience of parenting. And it is my prayer that we all delve so deeply into this part of our journey that we see the joys now, not later on when the kids are gone. We understand our role now, and we savor every single minute of that part now. So I asked a question when I started this, what is a parent? And there were so many different points of view on that particular question, to the point where some people, when I asked them, actually took offense because they didn't see themselves as single parents. I embraced my role, and just to give you a very quick synopsis, I became a single mom when I was pregnant with my daughter. She was 1 month in utero when my husband and I split. So to say that I went through a difficult period, that's an understatement. But from that point, I kind of changed my mindset, because I made up my mind to leave the marriage for reasons that we don't, that's not what this conversation is about. But once I entered there, once I started there as a single parent, it changed my mindset, and I just made up my mind that I was going to do certain things. And the first thing I remember promising myself, and it's something that I know we'll speak about later on, was that no matter how terrible our relationship had gotten, I would never bring that part over into the relationship with my children. And I remember vowing that I would never, ever, ever speak ill of him to my children. And 17 years on, 18 years on, I think it's something that I have been able to accomplish, not speaking ill of him, regardless of what we've gone through. And I just think that that's one of the most important parts of single parenting. But let me not ramble on there, because that will come up again in a little bit. I just want to speak about, okay, so tonight we have 4 guests. I have 4 guests. I have Alex the Great. I have Simone Foote, Naomi Garrick, and Christopher Birch are going to be joining the conversation in a few minutes. And each of us happen to be single in different ways. As I'm sure for those of you who may be on the conversation who are single, I think we all take different routes to get to this particular destination. Sorry. Google tells me that a single parent is a person who is bringing up a child or children without a partner. You may define yourself, or you may identify with a different definition of what single parenting is, but there's so many different reasons, as I said before. You can become single through divorce, separation, death of a parent, an uncoupled man or woman who choose to become single parents by either birth or single parent adoption. But it doesn't really matter how, because at the end of the day, we all have one particular goal, and it is to raise our children in love, to raise them to be functional, to raise them to be great citizens of the world that they're going to be a part of. And this is something I want you to watch. It's a short video.
To the single parents, we see you. It doesn't matter if this was your plan A or plan Z. It doesn't matter if you have them part-time, half-time, or all the time. We see you juggling it all. pushing through the exhaustion day after day, doing whatever you have to do to make it all happen, and loving fiercely every step of the way. We see your strength, we see your determination, your grit, and your love. The love that keeps you running even when you're beat. The love that keeps reminding you, at the end of it all, you are their person. You are their hero. You are their entire world. And the truth is, they are yours. And that is what makes it all worth it.
I'm not going into that forest.
To all the single parents out there, we see you. You are strong. You are more than enough. You are doing a great job.
You are doing a great job. We are doing a great job. Sometimes we slip up here and there, but it's important to acknowledge that we are doing an incredible job. So congratulations to you and to you and to you and to every single parent and every single parent out there, because it is hard and it continues to get harder. But let me I would love to bring in my guests now. So let's see if I learned this thing properly. I want to welcome Alex. Welcome, Alex the Great. And I'm going to bring everyone in at the same time, and then we'll continue to talk.
Nice.
Simone, hi Simone. Welcome and thank you.
Hi, Alex.
Hello, Simone.
Naomi is here. Thank you, Naomi.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, hi, Chris.
Hey, what's up?
Hi, guys. So
You guys hearing me?
Yeah, man, we're hearing you well. Thank you very much for taking the time. And to everyone else, outside of me respecting each of these parents here as parents, I think in their own right, they are all incredible people. Alex, I don't know who knows Alex, who's ever tasted Alex's hand, but this is Alex the Great, and he will tell his story and introduce himself in a short while. Chef extraordinaire. We have Simone, who is a marketing and communications officer, and Simone has a very powerful story to share. Alex is in the throes of here because he has the kids tonight, right, Alex? We have Christopher Burke. Chris is daddy to 3 kids, and Chris is one of Jamaica's most incredible producers, music producers. Thank you, Chris. And of course, we have Naomi Garrick, who is the PR chick. She is a brand coach and mommy to one. And I really just want to say thank you to all of these incredible parents here tonight. I'm going to start with Alex because guess what? Alex was here early. Alex was in the green room 15 minutes before when I wasn't even fully ready. But Alex, I just want to say, so you have, just as a quick way of introduction, Alex is daddy to 2 boys. You have a 2-year-old who is, and I'm going to, folks, just bear with me with the names. Attar Alejandro the Great, he's 2, and there's Leonardo Ali the Great. Now, when I started speaking to Alex, I had to ask a question because I'm like, okay, what's your real last name? Because I didn't think it was the Great. And Alex said, the Great is my last name. And I want Alex to start out with that story before we get into the parenting part about it. How did we get to the Great? Because we know that you are the great chef, but tell us, we know that it's not about, well, you explained to me that it's not about your cooking. It's not about your mastery in the kitchen. There's another reason behind this name, the Great.
Yeah, man. Hello, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here, everyone. You know,
Well said.
so the great is really based on as a youngster seeking guidance. You look up to role models like Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, black leaders. And one of the big point that they had laid out is that we lost a lot during slavery, which was our identity. And a big part of our identity was our name, and based on research, it had showed me that, there are areas in Africa where before slavery, your mother will choose a name and then you'll be named from based on your tribe and your community. So I would be Alex Kingston Chef. That would be my name. So, for me, having kids, I want to give them that sense of identity and purpose, and also, just to kind of start over from, that 400 years for my bloodline to can at least trace to where it started, and to have an understanding like, hey, my first father was a chef. He was creative. He was a kind and loving person, and this to me, since I did the deep hole, I mean, immediately I know that I have a purpose, and whatsoever I do should be great, not just doing stuff, but also being a great person as well. So, I was thinking to myself, hey, what about if I at birth, I had that name, I would be a way, 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 way better person, So I mean, that's the history. It has nothing to be with being arrogant or egoistic. It's just, starting a new wave for my bloodline, and creating that sense of purpose and direction for generations to come.
Love that. Love that. Thank you very, very much,
Nice,
Alex.
nice.
Okay, so very quickly, we're going to jump to Simone, and then I have one question for each of you after. But Simone, can you just give us a quick background? I know several people are on the conversation because when I was explaining to someone, I didn't give a lot of background before, but when there was a lady who I spoke to today who said that she didn't really want to come because she wasn't prepared, and she says that she lost her husband 2 years ago. So she's parenting on her own, but she was still struggling. And she said she wasn't ready to come into a forum like this to have the conversation. And I explained to her that Simone had such a powerful story. She's actually on right now. And I'm very honored, Simone, and for your bravery and for being able to share your story. So thank you. And Simone, over to you very quickly.
Yeah, I'm very glad to hear she's joined. And Michelle, I thank you for inviting me because, as you were told, this isn't something I've spoken to anybody about publicly, but I do like to share my story to support other people who have been through it or are going through it now. And throughout my journey, I've met a lot of people, and surprisingly, like me, they lost partners when they were very young and unexpectedly, and have had to just fall into being a single parent. So I lost my husband 17 years ago, and I have two children. I lost my husband when my son had just turned 4 years old, and my daughter had turned 7. And we were actually on a family vacation when it happened, so that was even more shocking. And considering he was a hands-on dad, completely hands-on, and one of his goals in life was just to be the best father to his children. So very quickly, I had to kick into gear, what you call it. I would say, put on that armor and just fill in and be mommy and daddy to my children. And it has been a gratifying journey. It has been a very special journey. My kids are now wonderful, wonderful adults. My daughter turns 24 next month, and my son is 20. And they are not only my children, they're my partners. I've had to go through my own personal, professional journeys, different journeys, relationship journeys. And because of their growth and the support that we've given to each other, they've been so supportive on that journey. And they have been true partners to me. My daughter is sitting, looking at me now and probably analyzing everything I say and dissecting everything I say, so I have to be careful because they're modest. They're wonderful kids, but they're modest, so they won't want me to say too much about them. But what I want to say to people who have lost partners is what your partner would have wanted for you is to continue that journey to be the best parent that you can be to your children, to make sure that your children are able to develop, in happiness, to be able to grow, to be able to continue to live that life that your partner would have wanted for them. And what I tell my children every day, because, they miss their dad, they don't have a lot of memories, which is another thing. I find sometimes they block out certain things that might have happened in the past because they were very close to him. Is that he would have wanted you to be happy. He would have wanted you to continue to achieve your goals, fulfill your dreams. So we just have to live in the memory of him and do the best we can to make sure that, we live the life he would have wanted to create it, have created for them. So it has been,
Thank you so much.
yeah, it's been a journey, and I know we'll talk more about it. And as I said, I'm very happy that person you spoke today has joined.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Naomi. Naomi is mommy to Ajani, and I think, Naomi, you're a new teen mommy.
I don't even know what this is, right? He's a man child, but this is definitely a very interesting part of our journey together. So I am also a single parent, even though I'm not really a fan of single parent. I would more say that I am the primary caregiver in this situation because his father is involved, but I would say I am the most involved. so I am the primary caregiver. My son is 16 in April, which is still something that's unreal to me. So we're going through this journey together of deep voice and not wanting any pictures on Instagram or anywhere at all. I think he'd be very embarrassed right now if he knew that I was even on this thing talking about single parenting and he's a part of this conversation. But what I will say is that my single parent journey has been very interesting. I guess I would be categorized as a single parent the moment that I was not with his father, which would have been about 9 years ago. So he would have been probably about 7, I think. But what has been really great for me during this journey is having support. So I got a lot of support. So then again, it makes you really not feel like a single parent, right? Because you have this tribe of support. And that's one thing that I would encourage other single parents to ensure that you reach out for help. I find that a lot of us try to carry the weight of being the parent by ourselves, and we don't want to burden anybody with our problems, and so we kind of just deal with it. And I think I started out like that, but then very quickly I realized that I don't always have the patience, I don't always have the time, and I honestly can't do everything. And so I tap into my tribe, which was my grandmother, who passed away last year, but she was super instrumental in the support that I got with Ajani, especially in his younger years. My mother, a lot of my girlfriends, even though I would have been the first person at the time to be pregnant. I mean, I had Ajani at 20. I was about to turn 25 the following month. But then I felt like I was like pregnant at the prime of my life. I was the only friend that was pregnant. It was so weird. Looking back at it now, I'm just like, no, my friends, it's funny. Are like, man, we should have started at like 25, like Naomi.
Like, have freedom now.
But she has an almost adult, right? What were we thinking? So in the beginning, it was just like really trying to navigate this whole new space because none of my friends know what they're doing, and I definitely didn't know what I was doing. So we all kind of were part of Ajani's development together, and we still are. So while new things are happening, like I have to kind of whisper this, right? So when I notice like body hair and all those things, And they're just like, what? Who has money here? It's like we're sharing all of the experiences together. So I'm really enjoying the journey, especially now more than ever, because we have such a close relationship, even though I'm banned from sharing stuff now, online especially. But you know, I wouldn't say that we're best friends, but we are very close. He's definitely very comfortable talking to me about anything. So I love that. Some of the more teenage stuff I have realized I have to start I have to find more creative ways of getting information, but or I have to kind of wait till he's ready, and then he may say something that I'm super excited about, and I have to like temper myself and be like, oh really? Oh, that's interesting. But inside I'm like, I have to call Tony and tell her what's going on with Ajani's life.
Communicate differently now. To communicate differently.
Yeah, so it is my single mom journey has been a roller coaster of events, emotions, feelings, and experiences. But I can't even say that I don't know if it would have been better if I wasn't a single parent, because I really don't really know what that dynamic is like. But I'm just here enjoying the journey like every day. And for me, it's more fun now because he's at a different stage of life. He's communicating and more with me, and I'm just enjoying every part of it now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Getting him up for school in the mornings. I hate that.
That's okay. So he'll get his license, and then he'll take the car and go on his own. So enjoy the stage.
I'm not ready.
Thank you, Christopher.
Hey, what go on?
What's up? Thank you again. So tell us, you have 3 kids.
Yeah, man. I'm a daddy of 3. I'm a teenager, 17. That's my first daughter. 11. The boy is 11, and I've got that youngest daughter at 8. You know,
Okay.
so that's my tribe, the Birch tribe.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed.
Yeah, man. So the journey as a single parent is it's a very interesting thing. You know, just day by day, different dynamics of different age. You know, so just being a dad like that, just is amazing energy.
Let me ask you a question. And I'll start the question here with Birch first. So when we say singles, I would assume that for the 3 of us, for the 5 of us rather, we are not with the actual father or mother of our children.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of the things that I have found, as Naomi just spoke about it, is really establishing a village. That's one of the very first things that's important for us to be able to survive.
Very important.
And this village is something that I would preach about in parenting in general, not necessarily just for single parenting, but in single parenting, it becomes that much more crucial, because we tend to have to rely on others to help us, even just help us up sometimes, not necessarily with the kids. And I tell the story of when I got separated when I was pregnant with Amanda. So now I have this little baby. I have Kristen at the time, who would have been 4. And I remember it was a bad day. The house didn't tidy for how many days, and the kitchen was a mess. And I remember a girl of mine came over, and she literally just came over and went into action. Clean up the kitchen, and I broke down. But that village, for me, she knew what I wanted, and she kind of just jumped into place. How do you build that village? I mean, I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask her to come in and do it. How do you recommend to friends, and especially for you, Bert, as a man? Men tend to not be as open in asking for help when they need help. How do you build your village that helps you?
Village. All right. I'm an introvert. I don't have a lot of friends like that. You know, so how I deal with my situation is very unique. I deal with, my daughter, my first daughter. The communication with her is different from the younger ones. So, I'm learning as I go along. I'm here learning from you guys. So this is really this is really a class for me also. So
Excellent.
this is basically my village, starting even right here, right now. Because just hearing you guys' story, very, very, very interesting. So just communicating with my teenage daughter. Listen, teenage is it's so weird.
Where is
Guys,
the right word?
it's so weird, but I'm learning. They're teaching me to, sometimes I have to be like, really?
Do you find that maybe her, like parents of her friends, so they're that same age and stage, have you ever turned to a parent and said, maybe it could be as simple as
No,
a
I've
quote
never
from
done that.
you never done that.
No.
And you are one of them doing it on your own.
On my own, in that sense. I don't have that village connection. It's more
Right.
like, because I'm more a loner.
Right.
You understand? And I learn and I adapt as I go along. As I
You
said,
should try it though, Chris. It's a beautiful thing to get help sometimes. And I know you.
no, because the reason truly is because of my schedule. I'm more, my schedule is very rigid. So I'm
Right.
always working. So at the same time, I know I've got the duties and I have to set foundation because these kids need foundation with dads. So I have to set foundation. So there, I said, okay, that time now. And so I kick in that and I said, okay, this is what's going on. What's going on? What's a new thing? And I'm teaching them the old thing. You understand?
So you
we
work
come
with a
into-
schedule. You find that the schedule works.
Man, you are scheduled for it. I said, okay. And my daughter was with me a few days ago for about a week. And I said, listen, this is what's going on. She taught me some stuff. She's in college now, but she's online. So I'm just setting some foundation for her next journey. Because she's 17 going to 18. She said to me, Daddy, I'm going to be 18 this year, So you know what that means. You can't talk to me like a baby no more. So remember you signed a contract on 25. Remember. No boyfriend until 25.
Oh, right.
Chris, I want to suggest something though. Just touching on what Michelle had said, right?
Yeah.
So again, remember my immediate circle of friends. All their children now are like on the 7th, so they don't even know what is happening in my life right now with Ajani. So I had to start talking with like some of his classmates' parents who I don't really know, but especially during the pandemic. One day, a couple of us, they got together for their first outing in person sometime last year. And us as the parents were so excited to have a conversation because during those 2 years, that was really a teenage to, I don't know what this is, transition. And Ajani started doing things like, he always want to be in your room, spend time with me. And now he was like in his room, doors locked, I have to knock first, like all these things. Had nobody to express this to. And then when the parents got together, we started talking about it, and all of them were just like, oh my God, my son is doing exactly the same thing. So then you feel like you're not alone, you have somebody you can talk about. It's not just Ajani, they're all going through this phase. So I would, if you can, Chris, trust me, just have a random conversation with one of the parents because it could be the start of your trial for real. And
I've never looked at it like that. I've never looked at it like that. See, that's why I'm learning. I'm a spectator here. I swear. Thank you for that, Naomi.
And stemming from what Naomi has said as well, sometimes you find that when you interact with the other parents, like you said, you develop your own side. Because I was similar to Chris, where I tried to do everything by myself. And my friends would observe me and they're like, Simone, you're not asking us for help. But I always felt they were busy. I didn't want to interrupt their schedules. And I felt they have their children, they have their jobs, they have their own demands. And I never wanted to interrupt. But then eventually I let it go. And if anybody offered to help, for example, pick up my son from school because their child went to the same prep school as my son, I was willing to take the help. So a lot of people, I was sharing with Michelle, who I had a boyfriend that I dated once, and he used to watch me take my daughter to school on one side of town, come home, pick up my son and take him to school on the other side of town.
No.
Watching me do that because I felt I had to. I felt I had to step into mommy and daddy
And you felt it was your burden to bear, your
Right.
responsibility.
My responsibility.
Mhm.
One day, Simone, I've been watching you do this. I want to help you, but I was waiting for you to ask. And at that point in time, I just let it go, and he stepped in and he was able to help me with transporting my daughter to school. So sometimes we have to realize it's not our burden to bear alone. There are people
Yeah.
out there who want to help us, and we have to be willing to accept the help.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Alex, let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
You had
sure.
said when we were doing our little banter before, we were talking about not necessarily being in. So when we have these relationships, sometimes it's very difficult because if we have
Yeah.
issues with mommy or daddy, as the case may be, do you find any at all that you've ever tried to overcompensate or to find favor? Let me not say find favor, but sometimes we feel sorry, we feel bad for the kids. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you try to overcompensate for mommy's absence, so you know give them the ice cream for breakfast, or whatever it is that is considered overcompensation? Has it ever happened to you, or for anybody else? I mean, I'd love for Alex to answer as well, but
Yeah. I mean, it really varies because for me I have two child with two different mommies.
mhm,
The younger one stay with his mommy, I overcompensate because of the timeshare, so when he's around me I try not to be as firm as with the one that is present with me,
right,
because it might be couple days and he might feel short of something, being that he's not always around, but I am mindful of what, and I try to gauge it. And for me as a parent, first of all, I use a lot of YouTube. I try to create that village, and I have to thank God, some awesome persons around, my sister, close friends, and one of the big thing and I'm pretty young, you know, and that gives me a lot to I have a lot of memory to relate to, growing up. Some of the stuff I would like versus some of the stuff I understand that my parents do that makes me a good person. So and one of them I realize that is lacking is communication, with your child and with persons around you. That's very, very important, So
Yeah.
even my 2-year-old, I try to communicate with him. Those small talking, and if you do something wrong, you say no, that's not right, that will hurt him. You try to say simple words for them to understand. But I mean, communication has done a lot for me, whereas they learn to understand me and me understand them more,
Right.
because it also gives them the room to feel comfortable or to know how to
talk to you,
communicate,
Right.
right?
So that's a
It's,
big pet peeve for me.
it's the same thing. It's just like Alex, the kids with their moms at the same time,
Yeah,
but I play a major part also. Moms play a major part, so we co-parent in excellent.
yeah,
It's,
yeah, yeah,
it's excellent. The moms are doing an amazing job. I'm doing my part, just setting down rules and say, okay, this is what it is.
yeah,
So
yeah,
co-parenting is amazing.
yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
the grandma from a teenage daughter, she's setting that perfect, perfect energy for my daughter, and I love that.
yeah,
So I just come in and do my part, and everything work out
yeah.
perfectly.
I
So
mean,
maybe that would be my community.
It
yeah,
is your community. That
it
is your
Yes,
is.
community.
exactly.
Absolutely a part of your community, for
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah, man, with the two younger kids with their mom, it's working fine. I play my part, and my teenage daughter,
Yeah,
Okay.
their mom and his grandma.
So it's funny. I find that for me, communication has been what has held as a glue that has held the relationship together. Even when my husband and I separated, I've always been open in explaining things to the
Yeah,
children.
that's very important. Very
Hide
important.
things from them. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you do things in an age appropriate way.
Right.
Yeah.
But I find that and not just about the marriage or not just about the demise of the marriage, just about things in general. And it's also important for me to understand how they feel. You know, why are you unhappy? What is making you sad? And I try to help them to work through it.
Yeah.
When we hit the teenage years, that became a little bit more challenging with my son because it's clearly something that they're told when you get to 13, you shut up and then they stop talking. But as Naomi had said, we have to be creative in how we
Yeah.
extract
Right.
information from them. But I believe
Exactly.
that when they're worried about, I mean, at this stage of my relationship with the kids, we understand where it's at. But I find for people who are going through new separations, whether it's divorce, whether it's death, whatever it is, with the removal of a partner, kids are confused. Their lives change and they want to
know.
understand.
They want to understand.
Yes.
And a lot of
But
times they blame
but
them.
you know,
especially
what
in
they
the case
Yeah.
of-
the
Go ahead,
amazing
Prince.
thing about this, we have a new player in town, and y'all know
Call it
what's new player?
the internet,
Social media.
social media. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes,
Guys,
yes. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
And it, unfortunately, the social media answers a lot of the questions for them, and they're not necessarily the right answer. So we have to
Yeah.
be so involved
yeah,
that
man,
we
we still have to
step
set
in before.
foundation.
Yeah, the foundation is
Is
key,
It's
and
key.
that's where the communication comes back in, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's why even now my son can hear something at school or see something online and still feel comfortable enough in his own way to come and ask me about it or
Yeah.
share his opinion, or because we probably already had a similar conversation.
And that
before.
that would have been because
Say that again, Michelle?
and I think that would have been because you would have set a precedent. And I'm saying that
Yeah.
would have been because you would have set a precedent with your relationship where your children feel comfortable coming
Yes,
to
set
you
the
to
tone.
speak to you.
Yes, set the tone from
Yeah, and
Anything.
even about important things. So just a random example. So I'm doing a minor surgery this weekend, right? So my son has been hearing me talking about it on the phone, whether with doctors, whoever. He hasn't said anything. And then a couple days ago, he came in my room, went in my bed. He's like, "Mom, is this something that I need to be worried about?" And I was like, "No, you don't." I said, "Would you like me to explain to you exactly what's going to happen?" Yes. And I had to walk him through every step of what the surgery would entail, how long I'll be in recovery, all the things until he was now comfortable because he had all of the information.
Yeah.
But you see, if we didn't have that kind of open communication, then I probably could have gone into surgery. He's probably
worried
out because he just doesn't know what is happening.
Yeah. And alongside communication, trust is very important.
Yes.
You have to demand it from them, and you have to, in return, give it. So in communicating, you have to communicate right. Because you have to gain their trust. Because the moment you betray them, that's when peer pressure can impact them at a greater level. So those two has been the foundation for me: trust and communication. And creating the village. Because with trust, with everything, you have to be honest and you have to highlight your weak areas. And get help. Like for me, I can't do the mommy daddy, So
I can't do the mommy daddy. Mommy is our job is to set a certain tone.
Yeah.
Yeah. We
discipline, being
discipline, right.
I'm not sure about that. Your job is
What?
to set a tone.
What's the tone that you guys have to set? What's that tone?
You want me to understand that.
Go ahead, Alex.
All right, so basically the whole build up, naturally of a man is to protect and hunt,
Okay.
Protect and provide.
So in that sense, you're always 10 steps ahead. So you kind of try to force your kid to be 10 steps ahead,
Right.
So I'll be like to my son, you have to be responsible, pick up, those simple stuff, but you're going to be more firm. When a woman will be more patient, a man want the result now. Like, learn to spread a bed, do it now.
Yeah, as a soldier, So listen,
Yeah.
this
So
You have to
is
be quick on your feet. You have to be adaptable. You know.
So you know that the lioness is the hunter of the family, right?
I know.
Well,
But,
yeah.
That's
That's
And
true.
you know, it's funny you're saying that, Alex, because just today my daughter said to me, "Mommy, you're more like a daddy."
Well, all right.
Yeah.
Hold on. You know, like
I've had
females.
this
All right.
conference.
I would never want my
Females are
daughter. I
more.
would never want my
You know, you
daughter.
guys have extra
I would
strength.
never want my son and my daughter to say, "Daddy, you know you're like a mommy."
Yeah.
I would never
No, but
want
hold
that.
on.
There's nothing wrong with being like a mommy, bro.
No.
But
No,
hold on,
no,
let's
no.
not take it out of context because
No,
I
it's not
feel
out of context. It's not out of
listen,
context.
when
Understand?
a
That's what she's
child
saying.
will
You know.
say, okay, as long as you understand, because guess
No,
what, we
I do,
both
I
have
do.
maternal and paternal instincts, you know. As
I
men
do.
and women, we have both. But what happens is that you get to a point when you are going to call on your maternal side or your paternal
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
depending
Some
on
stuff is easier for
right,
for the
right,
female
right.
to be more loving and
Loving,
caring
right.
and more patient. You know.
Mhm.
I mean.
You know, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, so many years ago, obviously when the kids were much younger, my daughter couldn't understand. I was on the phone with her dad and we had a great conversation. She said to me, "But mommy, if you and daddy get along like that, why are you divorced? Why didn't you stay together?" Because she couldn't, for her, if you're separated, that means you hate this person, you don't need to be around him anymore. And it was important for me, for them to see that we could remain friends and we still have a great relationship. And then to understand the context of what a relationship means or a marriage or any kind, that sort of thing, because we're also informing the decisions that they're going to make later on when it comes to choosing partners and how to operate in their relationships. So anybody else can kind of give me some insight into, and I'm not really ready to go into dating, but how do you help your kids to understand that, okay, and then for you two gentlemen who have multiple partners or multiple mothers to deal with, how do you deal with that sort of the dynamic in that with your children? I mean, Alex, it's a little different because your kids are still a bit younger, but for Chris, your kids are older, they understand. Do the children actually get along with, or do they have to interact with the other mothers? Tell me about that dynamic.
No, well, it's simple because, as I said, there was no complication. You know, my teenage is 17, so it was a, stretch. So, and there was no bad energy. Everybody gets along when it comes to
Okay.
communicating as brothers and sisters and stuff. So, as I said, the community, as they call it, is fine. There's no animosity. Yeah, there's no
Right,
bad
okay.
energy because it's all about the kids at the end of the day. And we're doing our jobs because we have a lot of job to do.
Yeah.
Because growing kids nowadays is not as before. As I said,
No.
you have a new sheriff in town, which is the
So
social
many
media.
influences.
Yeah, man, there's so many distractions.
Yeah.
So we have to buckle down and say, okay, this is what it is. So
What's the goal?
personal
What's the
part
goal?
of it, the personal part of it don't really intervene in what we're doing as a job, as
Okay.
parent. The
For
parenting
me-
part is-
Simone. Sorry, Alex. Let me just ask Simone something. How do you, or how did you, because the kids are big now, but how did you reinforce to your children, even though memories may have faded after a while, that daddy loved you? I mean, how do you just constantly remind your kids that they are loved outside of your love, which they obviously know because they felt that every day? When a partner is not there, how do you remind your children that, listen, daddy loves you or mommy loves you?
Well, the thing is, even to this day, we keep the memories alive. So we have a lot of conversations about their father. So, for example, I have pictures in the house, of the children with their dad. And you see, they were very young when they lost him. And unfortunately, they don't have a lot of memories about him. And the thing is, I'm able to tell them stories about experiences they had. I like to take a lot of pictures. And it's funny, I hear you talking about, your children not wanting to be on social media and sharing of pictures. And everybody tells me off about taking pictures all the time. But I tell them the pictures create memories. So I have like tons of albums of their father and experiences that we had together, because we always made it a point. He was such a hardworking person. We always made it a point to go on vacation every year together as a family. And it was actually on a vacation that we lost him. But every year we would go on a vacation as a family. So I have those pictures, and we would oftentimes go through those pictures. And then school forces you to have to talk about your parents. So things like Father's Day, when Father's Day came around, my children had to face Father's Day. So the thing is, what I used to tell them is, you had your father for a short time, but the fact of the matter is, some people, they still have their fathers, and their fathers are not in their lives. So just treasure what you had from your dad, the love that you had from him. And a lot of people, again, our tribe, when we talk about our tribe, they're able to reinforce to them memories of their father and how much he loved them. They were like his little handbags. Everything he did, they were with him. And I still maintain a good relationship, a close relationship with my husband's family. So, we still have a relationship with my mother-in-law. So they care about the love. They know the love that exists. And there's no denying. They know that their father loved them. There's a closeness. And the funny thing is, even though my son was only 4 when my husband passed away, there's so many similarities, so many things that he enjoys, so many things he loves that come from his father. And I tell him that, there's so many.
Like your daddy, yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah.
And to add to what you say, that I think for bad parenting, right? That's one of the things why persons sometimes try to abuse kids, They hate the partner so much, they don't let go of that hate, and they start to see reflection, Like, I learned that, like, the child is going to be half you, half mommy, half daddy, half, because it's 2-person, and, you have to learn to just accept it and help the child to understand himself, and that's one of the key things, helping them to know their identity, understanding their self through you and through him, will kind of pave the way for them,
I mean, that goes back to what Chris said about the foundation. You have to set that kind of foundation, like everything.
And you also have to remember, you have to put the child first. You have to remember the child.
Yeah.
So, as you get older, you have friends who are going through separations and divorces. And what I always remind them is that, you have to think about your children and the psychological effect it can have on them. So it's important for them to know that no matter what's happening between you and your partner, you have to make them feel loved. You don't have to make them feel like they are something that is being, vied for or fought against. Make them feel the love. Don't make them have to go through the process you are going through of separation. And I've seen some people do it so well. So well. I mean, I can think of a couple that recently separated, and yet they still attend Christmas dinners together. Everything is done as a family together, just to make, their children have that functional environment so that they feel the love. Yeah. They don't
the thing about it, once you're a parent, the game has changed a lot, and you have to, the game has changed so much. So you have to try to focus on what the goals are.
Right.
Yeah,
And to protect your legacy moving forward,
Right. Yeah. For me, when I feel like my whole life shifted the minute I found out I was pregnant.
Yes.
It's almost like a mindset shift. You start doing things differently, you start thinking differently, because now it's not just about you anymore.
Yeah. And I think it pushed me more.
Yeah,
it does. It does.
It forced me to write.
I mean, that's why I'm an entrepreneur. It's absolutely because of Ajani.
Yeah, and when my 17-year-old teenager daughter around me and just acting, and how she acting, and I'm like, Shannon, sorry, 17, 18 this year. I'm like, yo, all right, another 18
Time
years.
flies.
Right. And
flies.
then I'm looking at my 8-year-old daughter, and I'm like, because I went to school today and just make sure stuff was okay. And I was looking at her and just, because everybody says she looks like me, and she go around and tell everybody, I look like my daddy. You know? So
She's proud.
right. So I'm like, imagine she's 8 years old, and I remember she was a baby. You know, so the journey is an amazing journey, you know, just being a parent.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi
It's
there.
nice when you do that.
Next one gonna sleep.
Not anymore. So that
Right.
this,
Alex, enjoy it while you can.
Yes, enjoy.
Enjoy it.
I remember when a Johnny was like that.
Right.
was,
Let me tell you, memories. It's just,
Yeah.
man.
Sometimes
I'm going to
it's
very
it's
quickly,
just
guys.
a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
I'm going to
Yeah, man.
I'm going to jump really quickly to just some statistics, because we have a little problem in Jamaica. And the reason why I actually wanted to have this conversation was to show people that it can be done. We can be single, we can co-parent and raise absolutely wonderful children, because the stats are saying something completely different. Let me see if I can just bring this up really quickly. And these are statistics from Statin, the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, that 47% of the children in Jamaica are part of a single parent family, where the primary caregiver is a mother. And that's an extraordinarily high number. I don't even know, 40%, 47% is almost 50%. And a lot of those mothers are not professionals. A lot of them are independent businesswomen, and some of them are, well, a lot of them, as we know, are just not even working. So we have mothers who are taking out a lot of stress, and it's showing up, you know, within the families. It's showing up on the kids, and they're taking out the stress, and the pressure is falling on our children. So the village that we're talking about, I think it's important that when we have these conversations, that we show people what are the things. So the point I'm trying to make is, what are the things that we need to be doing to help other mothers and other single parents, fathers as well. But the truth is, our numbers here for fathers are, well, one, they're not even recorded, because Statin couldn't provide me with any numbers on fathers. The second slide here that I had actually spoke about fathers, but it's not in Jamaica. 6.96 million families in the United States are headed by a male householder with no spouse present. We don't have any numbers on that here in Jamaica, because it's just not, it's not our norm here. The question that I want to ask us, 5 of us here, and all the other parents who are on the conversation, what can we do? What are some of the things that we can do to help other mothers and fathers to understand that they can manage? It doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a constant argument. It doesn't have to be, we don't have to be worrying about this. How can we help our families? Because I honestly believe when we fix our families, that we will fix our nation. I think when we get it right at home, when we send our children out with the foundation that they need, then they're going to make better decisions. I think when I was talking to Alex, he spoke about the prevalence in certain communities of guns, and when these guns, when a father isn't present, or when the family isn't being provided for, and a gun can say to a 13-year-old youth on the side of the street, yo, here is a thing, he'll provide the sneakers, he will give him the lunch money. There's a level of ownership that comes with there.
Loyalty.
Loyalty, they're paying for loyalty. How do we change that? How do we sit here and we're having this great conversation about what can we do to make a change in our nation?
You know what I noticed? We're in 2022 now, right? And what I've noticed, the dynamics of a family setting has changed so much. I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's not as prevalent as before, the family structure.
Yeah, and the statistics show that, yeah.
Right. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening, but something is in the air happening.
So how do we?
Yeah.
What do we do?
And,
No,
and,
this
and,
no, what we do with this is a conversation that we're having right now.
Mhm.
What we do, nobody knows.
no, I mean, sorry
No,
to
man,
cut
go
you.
ahead, Daddy.
I don't want to lose this point, you know.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
of the big thing is we have to look in what's really glamorized, you know.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, the dancehall artists, we can't hold them responsible, but they have the lead in promotion, you know, the social media, right? It's only the bodies taking advantage of it, like the mix up page, you know. I mean, we can't run from it, but we need to glamorize more role models of Jamaica, more good men. You know, it can be something simple, but you know,
Mhm.
the highlight is because you know if I post something bad, I'll get more followers, more
Right.
likes. You
I
know,
think
so what is glamorized? You know, it
toxic
all boils
energy.
down. That's a
Toxic
big thing.
energy.
You know,
That's what
yeah, you know.
glamorizing.
I think
I
that it
mean,
needs to be a combination of more exposure, as you said,
yeah,
to other ways of life, and more conversations like this, Michelle, just more open
yeah,
Yeah, that's
conversation, but talking with people from all walks of Jamaican life, to hear these different experiences and hearing directly from whether it's a single mother, single father, whether it's a grandmother that's raising the children, what their experiences are like and what support would they need. So I think a great start is just to start having more conversations and having
yeah,
a
yeah,
wide cross
definitely.
section of people sharing their family life experiences and what that means for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this slide that is up here now is actually speaking about research again shows that teens in single parent households have a higher risk of depression and so lower self-esteem. It's something that I've seen in a lot of the work that I've done with children, but it has nothing necessarily to do with single parent households, even though it is more prevalent there. But I think that we can mitigate some of this on our own just by maintaining these relationships with our children, talking to them. When we see signs of depression or sadness, and that's something that is happening a lot right now because these
Yeah.
kids, a lot of them did not fare well through COVID. It changed the
Yeah.
landscape of friendships for them. And a lot of them gravitated to what Bert was really just talking about, gravitated towards social media and find using social media as an outlet or even how they view themselves. And that's when it continues to say here, depression can include isolation, feeling sad, disliking their looks, because social media is now telling them that this is what pretty is, or this
Yeah.
is what handsome is, or this is what rich is. So we have to, I think it's important for us, regardless of what we're going through, we're trying to put food on the table, we're trying to do our part, but we still have to keep that the channels of communication really, really wide open with our children
And just pay attention.
and pay attention.
And it's
Because
not
you know your child, you know when something is not okay or off.
and
Yeah.
it's not only limited to our children as well, because
Yeah.
I sometimes find, as you have children and they have their friends, you get to learn more about what their friends are going through. So when we talk about that village, it's about supporting other people as well. So especially as, my children are older now, they're in their 20s. I'm able to help other mothers, support them on their journey, because a lot of people out there, especially people you work with, who are working 9 to 5s and don't have enough time to focus or feel they don't have the time to focus on their children. They too are going through challenges. So it's about us supporting other people as well, other single parents, and helping them in their journey and supplying them with some of the tips, some of the things that worked for us to help us with our children.
and
And Simone, one of the things that I have, so I had 5 things on my list of key points to bring up tonight, and one of them is take care of you. So as much as you're saying supporting each other, we also have to find what works for
Yeah.
us, because
Yeah.
we
Exactly.
cannot pour from an empty cup. Whether you're
Yeah.
single or you're
Yeah,
married
that's
or
true.
whatever, you
Listen,
cannot pour
that
from an
me
empty
time is critical.
Yeah.
It is. So whatever works for you. So For me, I enjoy, I'm trying to eat healthier now, getting a lot more exercise. I'm not necessarily let me go to the spa. That's not me. But if that's what works for you, for some people, it's
Sometimes
reading
you
a
just
book.
want to read a book.
There you go. I just said that. It's reading a book.
Sometimes you just want to read a book in peace.
Find what works for you, because I know I find I get most irritable with my children when I'm low, when I'm running on fumes.
Mhm.
Whatever they say, whatever they do gets on top of my last nerve, and I react to it. Um, I'm trying to avoid that now, and just always keeping myself in a comfortable place. Not necessarily overdoing it, but just finding what works for me. And for right now, it's waking up extra half hour in the morning. I have my cup of coffee, and then I'm ready to face them and the world. So that works for me in a small way. In a big way, I love family vacations, but that can't happen every day.
Right.
So what works for you? What's your take care of you moment?
Oh my God, my take care of me moment. It is the simplest thing ever,
In your
and it's what
studio,
I do for a living.
man, in your studio.
Just get up.
Hey, Jones, just put the camera so we can see what you're doing.
Oh no, it's set weird.
All right.
But we can hear it. We can hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
It is so simple. And I start do my little chefing, do my little cooking, get my but at the same time while I'm cooking, I actually have the same energy as making music. I don't know. I try put both of them together so it's even more fun cooking. It's like I'm building a beat. It's like I start cooking the rice or whatever. That's
Nice.
that's my fun. I swear it's simple but effective for me.
Yeah.
Love that.
And you can pour more into your children when you are.
Yeah, man. No, and then
balance.
when I
Simone,
cook for them,
what's your
here.
take care of?
My take care of me is exercise, and that's something I'd actually shared with my husband. We both love to exercise, so eventually I started running. So running helps me to clear my mind, and it's quiet time for me alone. And another thing I found is I was just constantly going throughout the day because my kids would do a lot of activities, etc. So what I was doing is the night times were my quiet time. So after they went to bed, I tended to go to bed late because I'd use that time to read and to have my own quiet meditation time. But now that they're older, what I'm trying to do now is more seeing outdoors, adventuring outdoors. I like to hike. So, and commune with nature, just be in nature and have fun with nature. And
Nice.
so I'm trying to do more outdoor activities, especially this year. I'm intentionally trying to do more outdoor activities.
That's nice. Very nice. Alex, what's your?
Yes. So for me, it's pretty simple. I start to, like exercise. And that like jogging. I love to jog, like slow jog, no fasting. But I find that's a zone where I get to clear my head, think clearly, and sometimes cleaning as well help.
True. So that you're right.
Host, come
It
to my
does.
house.
Yes.
Yeah, cleaning
Cleaning.
does help.
Yeah, man.
But
It's a vibe.
in the process of cleaning, I'm like, wow, ladies are so strong. Like sometimes I feel just call somebody and say, listen,
Big up.
but that does help, and going adventure, going new places. Tour Jamaica is beautiful. I try to go places every now and then, just to appreciate, and to be honest, just to sleep beside them, some because they have their room. However, sometime I lay down beside them, and that kind of give me a nice little, in quiet and peace. But they're knocked out, but it's a nice little zone for me.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. I see a question here. Roxanne is asking, just for information, what is the most challenging part of being a single parent? For me, I keep asking myself if I'm doing enough. I question my actions a lot. Am I doing enough? When they're gone, I mean, as we said earlier, time flies so quickly. So my son is 17, and next year he reminds me all the time that he'll be gone. And I worry that I haven't, that the foundation I've laid isn't solid enough. So I question myself a lot. And I don't know if that has to do with whether I did it on my own as a single parent, or if that's just a general parenting concern. But I do worry that, my God, I've run out of time, and I feel like there's more that I could have done. So that, for me, would probably be my answer about the most challenging part, because I feel like I can do more and I'm just not doing it, and that bothers me sometimes.
I have two challenge. First, it was, as you said earlier, feeling like you're not doing enough, but talking to, and that's the important thing, persons in the village, you can talk to them and express yourself. I tend to look up to a lot of older person that have experienced, life. And one thing somebody said to me that really helped me, that perfection is overrated. You won't be the perfect parents, but you just gotta do everything you're doing with love, and what you put out you'll get back. And the second one was not having, in the initial stage, not having persons you can trust to have that village that you can rely on, when they're a baby, leaving the baby with them, and expecting the best care, that but outside of that, everything else, will fall into place.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's similar for me in terms of feeling you're not doing enough or you're not present enough. I mean, when my children were younger, I felt like I needed to be at every activity or every performance that they took part in. And then I realized I couldn't. I couldn't divide myself into too many people. And again, that's when you call your village and ask them if they can help. So not feeling that I was doing enough at the time. But as I got older, I realized that, I was doing the best that I can. So, I shouldn't beat myself up about it. And another thing too is about making the right decisions. Your children decide to take certain paths in life, and sometimes you want to consult with a partner, and you don't necessarily have that partner to consult with. So sometimes just making sure that you are making the right decisions when you're helping your children along their journey. But let me tell you, it all works out. Sometimes I just close my eyes and I channel what would my husband be saying, or what would make him proud, what would make him happy for his children to be achieving, and it tends to work out. It tends to work out in the wash. And you
we worry a lot, and we worry unnecessarily a lot of the times.
Yeah.
We definitely do that. We definitely do. So I had come up with this little, list of ways that you can help your single mom friends. And I thought it was kind of cute, but because I've actually been on the receiving end of a lot of this. And I don't even know if you can see this very clearly, but give her a break from her own children. Sometimes it's just an amazing feeling to meet the kids. Sometimes, I remember once my kids went to stay with my sister for a weekend. I didn't turn on a television. I didn't do a thing except just zen in silence. And it was the most wonderful weekend. And if she's watching this, I'll accept another one of those anytime soon. Camille, thank you very much, just for your information. But that helps, and that goes for mothers and fathers as well. Sometimes a break from the kids that we love so much is very, very important.
And it's healthy for them as well.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's very healthy. It's a healthy thing. I mean, not too often, but every once in a while, it's a nice experience for them. A change of scenery. Because guess what? As much as we get frustrated sometimes, we annoy them to we can get on their nerves as well. So we have to be mindful of that. Someone suggested this one to me, is especially for single mothers who may not be well versed on their cars, for the males in our lives or for other women who may have this knowledge. help them to check it up. You know, sometimes we go to the gas station and we're constantly putting gas in the car, but are we checking the oil? Are we checking the water levels? Are we checking all of these things? Checking the tire pressure? Until something goes wrong, maybe that's not even a concern of somebody, but so that we can kind of bring to the fore for them. And for me, another one that's very important is I called it here, give her a mandate, but it's really for women finding men who are non-romantic partners to share space with your children, because it's so crucial for them to see men in a different light. You know, you have this uncle who may be strong with music, another uncle who is an athlete. Just expose them to men most, role models. That has actually saved me. I have some incredible friends. Shout out to Dwayne is on the conversation. The two Dwaynes in my life, but they're men who are strong and men of God, men of integrity who are a beacon for both of my children. But I would, you know, they always say boys need a man in their life, and it's important for our women to have these men outside of romantic interests, and vice versa for men,
vice versa.
women, girlfriends who are not in romantic interests, but who provide that softness that your children sometimes need.
Yeah.
So it's just an important thing for us to factor in when we're building out that village.
Yeah.
I asked a friend of mine today when I was, you know, doing my research, and I think it's important that we don't assume that every single father who doesn't have his children in his constant care that they're deadbeat fathers, because there are some amazing daddies out there. There are some who aren't, but there are some very, very phenomenal fathers. And I think I just want, you know, we don't always want to, I don't want to wait until Father's Day to say Happy Father's Day or to congratulate men on doing what they ought to be doing. But kudos to you guys. Thanks again for being a part of this conversation. But yeah, we have some amazing men out there. So we need to highlight that more often. For those of you who have, Christopher, you ever comb your daughter's hair?
No.
He's gone silent. Chris?
No, you hearing me?
No? You've never combed your daughter's hair? Yeah, I'm hearing you. I asked,
No,
have you
I've
ever
never
combed your
done that.
daughter's hair?
No, I never done
Are
that.
you being serious?
Serious.
I'm in shock.
No.
Come
First
on,
of
man.
all-
You guys need to... First
of all, let me explain. My teenage daughter don't want me to touch her hair. She have her own thing going. Daddy, I got this.
Okay,
So
understood.
that's that. And then my younger daughter, Dad, you don't know nothing about hair. No, you can't touch my hair.
So you just
so
drop
my-
into the hairdresser. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm clear.
All right, boss. Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. And another friend suggested, and I thought this is a pretty good one for dads who are kind of, you know, doing this sometimes on their own, keeping track of events that they need to be a part of, whether it's picking up from school, dropping to activities, the birthday parties that need to be acknowledged, buying mommy a birthday gift or a birthday card. Just help these men in our lives to remember some of these things that they may very well forget. Women tend to be better at remembering those little things than men. So for the male friends, the male single dads in your life, we can kind of remind them of those little things. So some of the things that jumped out at me, as I said, this is just in wrapping up the key points. It's important that we don't badmouth the other parent. It is critical because it does no good at all in the long run. It really sends a negative message, and at the end of the day, we're the ones who come out looking bad. As much as with parents who do this have a goal of trying to almost to win favor with the child, but it just doesn't work. So let us, if we see it happening, I know that I'm not saying anyone here does this, but if we see it happening, I think it's something that we need to speak out against and stop our parents from participating in that activity. Let's not feel guilty. Let's not blame ourselves. Let's not blame where we are now. We are here. It is what it is, but let us not overcompensate with our kids. Spoiling a child never works out. When we spoil our children, I believe that they learn to manipulate and not just us, but they learn to manipulate people in general. And manipulative children, it doesn't work out for them in the long run.
For real.
Communicate constantly. Listen to your children. As much as you want to share with them, it's important that we listen to them and not just listen to them with empty ears. We have to listen to them with an open mind, because our children today are communicating differently. I think all of us who are on this conversation may have come from an era of be seen and not heard. Do as I say because I said so. I think at some point or another we would have heard our parents say that to us. Maybe not Mr. Young Alex the Great, but I think we have to change the narrative in communicating with our kids. That can't apply anymore. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but I know, and it has come out of my mouth because I said so. But they question it. What do you mean because you said so? Behind it? And if we think about it, it's not. It's a close-ended conversation that doesn't really get us anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I think that method worked for what it is at the time, though.
You think so?
Yes, it did.
It shut you up, though. That's what it did. I think it shut us up.
No. You know what? I don't think so. So we have gotten to a place where there's so much voice you can give the child. Sometimes when you set a rule and you say, okay, this is it. You don't need to hear another word. You understand? It's not like your child don't like, but daddy no. You know what? This is how it's gonna go. But there's some things I understand. Because setting foundation now is
this is the tone you was talking about earlier.
Right, exactly. And you and your child is not friend.
I agree with you, Chris. I'm not of the belief that we are going to be best buddies and
we're not friends.
However, I also believe that the same we have to show we want respect from our children, and I believe that we ought to show them a certain amount of respect as well. I honestly believe that. Our parents didn't come from that. They were like,
I understand. I think the point that you're coming from is that, like, for example, my daughter, we're on the computer and we're doing some stuff, and she's gonna do digital marketing, right? So we're just on the computer doing some stuff, and she said, "Daddy, what are you doing?" Some said, "I mean, what me I do?" I'm gonna start this. She said, "No, look at this," and she just did that. Bap. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna say, "Okay, you win this one. I owe you." I learned. It's not like I was like, "No, man, no, that's not it." But there's certain rules. When you set a tone and you say, "Okay, this is it."
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Right. Always.
But you are open to learning from her, which is important.
I'm learning from my son. My son is so deep into this social media thing. Sometimes I'm like, okay, how you do that? Of course. I'm telling you, we're in this world, we're learning. But sometimes there are some rules you have to set, and they cannot miss.
Right, but you still have to have boundaries.
Yeah, man, strict boundaries.
Yeah, I think we have to understand who's parent and child. There's nothing wrong with it. Know that. But there's nothing wrong with a parent respecting a child's opinion.
Right, I know there's a certain custom out there, just liberal, and just tell the child to do anything they want to do.
No. Well, that's not what I believe.
No, I'm speaking about us. I'm not gonna call it country. There's certain custom out there that their system is about the government taking as a parent, and that and the child cannot do anything.
Right, that's a different argument though. But yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, it's the same argument, but it's just different countries that has that kind of that. I don't know. I don't even want to get into it, but
it's very liberal. It's very liberal.
Very liberal. But in Jamaica, there's a certain tone when our parents said, and I like it from then to now, but there's a change in dynamics in 2022.
Okay. Fair enough.
1 minute. I think the change is really just kind of creating a little more understanding,
Exactly.
So if you set a rule you say, well, then, son, daughter, this can lead to that. And if they insist, that's when you can say, well, listen, that decision is final, but, creating understanding is always a good thing as well, because you don't want to leave them in the dark where they feel like, all right, I'm just going to do something because I'm said it's to be done, A little
You don't want to
understanding.
leave them in the dark, Alex, for them to go and get their sources elsewhere, or get information elsewhere, or to get taught somewhere else. Yeah. Role as parent. Yeah. Okay, and then fourth is build your own village, and we spoke about that. Find the people who you can call on who are going to help you to achieve your goal of raising this incredible child or these incredible children.
Right.
And then the last one is, as I said, take care of you. It's we can't pour from that empty cup, so we have to find a way to pour from more.
A great parent is not the one who gives the most money, not the one who gives the most toys, not the one who gives the best place to live. A great parent is the one who gives attention. To be a great parent, all you need to do is be present with your child. Not give presents, be present. That's all kids really want. They want you to notice them, to be loved, to be wanted. The best parent is the one whose eyes light up when their child enters the room. The parent who makes a promise to love unconditionally. The parent who leads by example. Not by what you say, but by what you do. Kids will never pay attention to your words. They will always and only pay attention to your actions and your intentions. A great parent works on themselves. A great parent makes their own mind strong, knowing their kids will likely follow in their footsteps. Heal yourself. Make your own mind strong, so your children can see the clear of what good life looks like. Setting a clear and strong example of what type of human being you want your kids to become starts with you. It's up to you to set the example of kindness and compassion toward others, to set the example of what it is like to be yourself, to set the example of living a magical life that you choose. That's what a great parent does. Set their child free. Allow them to be themselves. Allow them to make their own decisions. Live your life in such a way that when your kids think of kindness, compassion, strength, authenticity, and real joy, they think of you. A great parent knows not to allow anything in their life they don't want their children to reproduce in their lives. That includes toxic relationships. That includes bad habits. That includes making decisions based on fear. A great parent listens. They don't lecture. A great parent supports, never shames. A great parent guides and sets free. Being a parent is not a job, it's a privilege. Being a parent is not a burden, it's a blessing. They are always watching. What kind of role model will you be for your children?
About single parenting. So that wasn't necessarily about just single parenting, that's parenting in general, because I honestly believe that I don't think there's a lot of difference other than the fact that we are not a couple, meaning single as opposed to a couple. Our goals are the same. Our goals are the same as any other parent. I tell people all the while, and I think I said it at the beginning of this conversation, is as much as I am single, I am not alone. And my village is the reason why I feel that I have achieved the level of success that I've achieved as a parent. Still a far way to go, because there's still living at home until, and I tell them that when they leave at 18, they don't come back, only to visit. Does that work, Simone? No?
Doesn't work. They'll come back.
So I gather.
Guess what, Michelle? You'll be happy to have them back.
Of course, I know. But I thank you guys. I think we had a nice little conversation, and I'm hoping that for anyone who maybe just kind of feeling that this parenting journey is hard and struggling in any which way, shape, or form, because we all struggle at some point. It's just a bump in the road. We get up, we go again, we brush off, but we just have to make sure that, I think those 5 things that we spoke about, building the village, taking care of ourselves, communicating, not overcompensating, those things, once we keep those things at the fore, success will be ours. We will be successful in raising amazing children. So I thank each and every one of you. I thank everyone who's on the conversation. For those of you, this is a brand new YouTube channel that I started, so please subscribe. Naomi, is that how you go? You have to subscribe and like,
subscribe, and share.
Thank you. And comment. I do these webinars, all parenting based, different topics. So look out for the next one. And there'll be more in the future, because it is my passion, just fixing. I start here at my home with my little family and helping as many people as I can to experience the most amazing parenting journey that they can have.
Awesome.
So thank you very, very much, everyone. And have a wonderful evening. It's what, 9:30, an hour and a half. We did it.
Yes.
Great timing. So thank you so much, guys, and happy parenting to everyone, my panel of guests, and everyone who's on the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you too. It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.